And welcome, everybody. Hands-on Apologetics. You have entered into Virgin Most Powerful Apologetics Dojo. Welcome back, everybody. Hands-on Apologetics. And in studio with me is Master Apologist Jeff Kassab. And Jeff, you're just sharing with me your trip to Australia, the other side of the world, to speak to youth.
Yeah.
And your topic's actually the topic that we're going to talk about today is discipleship and redemptive suffering.
Yeah.
So what was the reaction of the teens to your talk?
Well, for me, it was a regular talk. I mean, just another talk I put together and, it took some work to put it. But for them, they've never heard these kind of talks there. So they were just like, you look at them, the young youth, and they're just, eyes are open and they're like in awe. Not because of me, but just because they've never heard these kind of talks. What is discipleship? What is redemptive suffering?
Yeah.
What do I do with it? First of all, can I do something with it? We thought only Jesus' redemptive work on the cross is worth anything, but there was so much to it, man. And the discipleship talk was, I literally opened up the talk and I said to them, first words out of my mouth was, "Are you ready to be a disciple of Christ?" And you know what, Gary? I'll be honest with you, out of 200 kids, maybe 100 raised their hand. The rest were like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Ask them again, are you ready to be a disciple of Christ? Raise your hand. Because if you are, do you know what it will cost you? And everybody, it will cost you your life. Jesus, many times, his disciples said, we'll go with you wherever you go, Jesus. And Jesus said to them in so many words, are you sure? Are you sure you're going to, you got to be careful what you're saying.
Right.
Did the disciples mean, Jesus, I'll follow you across the street, I'll follow you to another town, I'll follow you to a healing or to something? No, Jesus meant, will you follow me to Jerusalem, right?
Right.
Which will lead to Golgotha, which will lead to the cross, which will cost you your life.
Yeah.
And they never understood that until, I don't think they even understood it till after the resurrection. Because then my next point to them was that, listen, I'm going to categorize you guys in 3 groups of disciples. You guys figure out which one you are. There was 12 disciples. Are you the 10 that left him? Are you the one that betrayed him? Or are you the one that stayed with the foot of the cross with him?
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Which one are you? And, I had to explain to you a little bit which one are they. But in reality, Gary, all of us can be categorized in those three categories. Are we the 10 that, hey, I'm around whenever I need to be around or whenever I need Jesus for something? Am I the one that betrayed him, that left the faith, that doesn't believe in this teaching or that teaching, right? Mm-hmm. Or am I the one that believes in everything and just lays at the foot of the cross, right? Right. I'm there at your service, Jesus, whatever you want from me. So discipleship is not cheap, man. It'll cost you your life, and most people don't accept the calling. And I'll be honest with you, I was one of the first ones that didn't accept the calling.
Yeah.
I didn't want it.
Yeah.
It's too hard.
Yeah.
I have to change my life, my schedule. There's so many things I had to change in my life. So for 6 months I said, Jesus, no, I don't want the calling. He said, yes, you're going to have it, So it took a while to say yes, but once you do, the call is very fulfilling, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah, so I think the proportions are proper, too. I mean, I think a vast majority will say, yes, I'll follow you, Lord. But when things start getting tough or God starts asking them, to lay things down for them, then they're like, well, not that. We'll be cafeteria Catholics. And then maybe the 1% will follow Jesus no matter what.
Yeah.
But you also have the Judas section, which is also one.
Yeah.
That would, betray him.
Yeah. And like you said, there's many that say yes to the calling, but do they know what they're saying yes to?
Yeah.
It's not just a disciple requires going to the cross. You will be persecuted, right? You will be mocked. You will be spit upon. You will be kicked upon. All these things that Jesus went through to get to the cross. We go through it as well as evangelizers, as lay people, as ministers, as preachers, as priests. Everybody that preaches Jesus, I think, at one time or another, goes through these sufferings that Jesus went to get to the cross.
But many are called, but few are chosen.
Few are chosen, right? And Jesus says himself, listen, you want to be my disciple? You got to take up your cross daily, whatever that cross is. and follow me. Otherwise, you cannot be my disciple. You got to give up your mother, your brother, your family, all these things. And he says that very explicitly in the gospel. So it's a tough calling.
Yeah.
But a fulfilling one.
What's beautiful, like you said, you were part of the 10, right? And God willing, you're part of the one that stays.
Yeah.
But you can change categories. It's not fixed in stone.
Yeah.
You know, and look at the apostles, right? Peter denied Christ 3 times, but he ends up being willing to be crucified upside down.
Yeah.
You know?
And even the 10 that weren't with him at the cross, they came back. You know, that later they were part of that one that was with him, that stayed with him, that would not preach the gospel. So, you know, there's nothing wrong. I've said this many times. We all have the calling for discipleship, but there's nothing wrong with saying, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I mean, you know, it takes prayer, it takes discernment, it takes a lot of things to say, I want to be a true disciple of Christ. You know, so if you're not ready, it's all right. But in the end, we all got to be his disciples. You know?
Yeah.
So, then of course that leads to discipleship, leads to suffering. You know, I mean, we take our sufferings, and you know, what do we do with our sufferings? People don't understand that much about redemptive suffering yet. So hopefully we can shed some light on redemptive suffering.
Yeah, so you're saying that the health and wealth gospel isn't authentic? Is that what you're trying to tell us?
Well, I guess the health and wealth gospel, yeah, right. I guess if you're feeling down once in a while, you can turn on, you know, the TV and watch some Joel Osteen, I guess, and, you know, listen to him. And, you know, his words are inspiring and uplifting, but it's a false gospel.
Yeah.
You know, we know that.
Right.
I mean, you know, if you're not, you know, he makes it sound like if you're not healthy and wealthy, then you're a sinner and you're doing something wrong against God and he's punishing you. Well, you know, that's not how God works.
Right.
You know, not at all. You know, if you know anything about God, he would not do that to his children that he loves, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and for a century, I mean, I can't think of any apostles that became wealthy and, you know, were rich while following Christ.
Yeah.
It's always the opposite.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, look at even modern day. Look at some of us that are doing apologetic work and evangelizing. I mean, you know, none of us are.
Yeah, that's true.
There's
the proof right there, folks. So giving up